All right, y'all, welcome back to the Distracted, Not Disqualified ADHD podcast. My name is Dari Crawford, and I have Tawana Wiggins with me today. Welcome, welcome. This is our second podcast episode, and my second podcast episode for my new podcast, and I am so excited to have her with me. I have been on her podcast twice. So if you have not seen that and you are on LinkedIn, I'll post that in the show notes to make sure that you can get access to that. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. I am so proud of you for doing this. So let me just say that right
Really?
now. Yes, I am. Because I remember when you mentioned it was a thought, then bam, came your graphic. I was like,
Yeah, it happened. It happened so fast. And I am learning to just do things messy. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it up there, get it out there for people to see. And you never know. There's always like little nuggets that people hear from different things and they can apply it to their life. So
Absolutely.
All right. This podcast, I just want to reiterate this. I know we talked about it in the first episode, but this podcast exists because a lot of us have learned to look put together while quietly paying a high cost. Yeah. So I don't know about y'all, but normally when people have ADD or ADHD, but now they classify it as ADHD,
yep.
They tend to be messy. They tend to not have things together. And I have worked 46 years, almost 47 years to look put together to the naked eye. And inside mentally, I've just been exhausted. Like my body's exhausted. So that is the reason that we have this podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So have you ever told someone that should be common sense? And thought, it might be common sense to you, but it's not common sense to everybody. And I have said that to people and I'm like, oh my God. So if you have ever said that's common sense, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about ADHD brains, communication, and why clarity isn't extra. It's essential. All right. So again, this is Tawana Wiggins. Yay. And her company is TL Collaborative Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah.
So what is that about? You're the founder, you're an educator, system strategist, speaker, ADHD parent, and advocate. You do all the things, all the titles you carry.
Yeah. So it essentially started with a awareness and understanding that my daughter lives with ADHD. And then I found out later that my adult children also are neurodivergent. And so as I was operating and moving, even in being an educator, of how my success that I've had in education, and then finding out that my daughter lives with ADHD, I was like, God, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I feel like God was pulling on me. It's like, focus on her and you'll have what you need. And I was like, well, I can't focus on ADHD because I don't know anything. And I just feel like I'm lost. I'm still learning. And he carefully reminded me that, you are raising a child with ADHD. You have raised children. My oldest daughter is almost 30.
Yeah.
It's like you have raised children and you've been in education for over 20 years. So you have taught a multiplicity of students diagnosed and undiagnosed with ADHD. So you are not to know it all. You are just to do the thing that you've already been doing.
Yeah.
And with that, I understood that what that meant is it takes intentionality. It takes slowing down for a moment to understand that there is always another story or a possibility of another story other than the one that you're telling yourself. And to your point, common sense is not common. It is your sense. And so being able to stop for a second and slow down so that you are leading with less misinterpretations and more clarity. And that's what my organization does. Yes, I focus a lot on ADHD advocacy, but it really is the process and the action of slowing down for a moment so that you can understand that there's other factors so that you can move with less misinterpretation and have a little bit more context to be able to support those that you lead and love.
That's good. That's good. I know for me, I'll think like some things are common sense, or someone to say that to me, like that's common sense, but I'm like, it's not common sense to me. Like, I don't understand. Help me.
Common means that it's across the board. Common sense is cars drive.
That's common sense. Right. That's the only thing
But if
common.
we go somewhere else and they fly, that may be common sense too. Like, you know,
Right. Right. Or we drive on a certain side of the road.
because at one point that wasn't common sense. When cars didn't exist, that wasn't common.
Right.
Right.
Do you want to go back to like horse and buggies? Like,
I
feel
don't.
like I don't want to go back there because I wasn't there, but I don't want to go back in time.
Tyler asked me recently, Mom, if there was a time period that you can go back to, when would it be? And in my, again, I'm thinking common sense. In my mind, I'm thinking she means a time that I already lived.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't want to go back. I want to go back to when your brother and sister were babies, but then you wouldn't be here. So, but if I go back to when you were a baby, then they would already be big. I just want to do the time where you all are babies. And she was like, oh, what? You don't want to go back to like when Jesus was walking earth? And I was like, oh, you were talking about a different time.
Right.
But no, I don't want to go back to that time. I want to be this time.
See, you didn't have the same common sense that she had, right?
I didn't have what she needed to give me more point of reference. And that oftentimes is what happens in miscommunication. You need more point of reference. You need more vantage point, or simple conversations like that. If we don't take it to the simplicity of it, larger conversations become frustrations, become breakdowns in communication, becomes disengagement in relationships, friendships, businesses, those types of things. Like, oh, well, provide me with oh, you were talking about anytime.
Yes.
We didn't say that part, but thank you.
The any, we didn't say.
You have the any part.
She said, what time?
Yeah. In my mind, I already thought common sense, you mean the time that I already existed. No, you didn't. Oh, okay.
Right. And what I love about you is that I appreciate your perspective. Like, you don't approach ADHD from a place of like fixing people.
Right.
It's like you're taking a deep dive into learning how you can be a safe space for your children, for other people that have ADHD. And I love that because honestly, our brains just process things differently. And I remember growing up, I thought something was wrong with me. And now I know something's wrong with me.
Well,
but
it's not even wrong though. It's different.
It's different. It's
and
different. Yeah.
And so sometimes I think just in life, like I love the fact that now people are saying different ability.
Yeah.
And not disability.
Yeah.
Because for long, what we've been conditioned to believe that because there's a difference, then it's wrong. I mean, if we can be honest,
That's right.
That's
That's
how
right.
racism started, because it's different.
Yeah.
Then it's wrong, and it's not that it's wrong; it's just different. So
Yeah.
now that we're aware of the difference, now we need to make some adjustments that are able to speak to that difference.
Okay, y'all. See, remember what I was talking about? Those nuggets. She just dropped a nugget. So put that in your back pocket. Okay. All right. I think we kind of already covered this. When people say something is common sense, what are they really assuming?
That you see things the way I do.
Yeah.
Like it's like I learned something else deeper, like even parenting my children and understanding the intentionality that it took to be able to support them in the way that they function, prior to me even knowing that my oldest children were neurodivergent. But even just the way that I process things, I always said, like, I treat my students, and when I was a leader in the school, my staff, just like I would do my children. I hit the mic, sorry.
That's okay.
And people would say, what does that mean? But now I realize what that meant. The gift that God gave me, that's how I proceed. And that's where a lot of that success came from. But when we think about the common sense factor, so I principled through the pandemic now.
You did.
That was major. And during
There was no common sense in
was
that.
none.
We've never been to
sense was not common. Like,
No.
Everybody just made whatever sense that meant to them in the moment. But what I did realize is sense was not common, in that when in the pandemic, you got to see others' vantage point like none other. Like you were in people's home before we got blurred backgrounds. You didn't have that. So you got to physically see how people were living and what they saw. And side note, I remember there was this pattern that I kept seeing when I would pop into a class on the student's background. I was like, what in the world is that? But I realized it was the bottom layer of the bunk bed. And so he had a bunk that he was sharing with his sibling. And I was like, oh, that gave me a different, like, okay, learning is going to be very difficult because your sibling is at the top bunk learning, you down here. But what gave me the perspective, going back to the question of common sense, was being able to see what other people see. I quickly realized and started to put language to it, is the way I see things. Let me say it this way, and this is going to blow your mind. I am the only person who has ever seen through my eyes.
Yes.
you are the only person who's ever seen through your eyes,
Yeah.
right? And when we put it in that perspective, like, so how can what I see be common if I am the only person who has seen through my eyes? If I say to you, sorry, can I put my foot on, your orange ottoman? And you'll be like, I don't have an orange ottoman. And you're like, my brown ottoman?
Yeah.
Then it lets you know I see a different color than you see.
Yeah.
It's not common. To me, I saw orange. But if you say, now it lets us know how we need to communicate. I can no longer call out colors. I need to have a different level of communication. But if I say, can I put my foot on your ottoman? You say, what ottoman? Then I'm like, oh, shoot.
What's she talking about?
Am I see? Maybe you call it something
Something
different.
else.
That's
Yes,
another
yes,
thing.
yes.
Or if I say the thing in the middle of the floor, there is nothing in the middle of the floor, and I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe she's blind. I don't know. So now it's being able to have the conversation of understanding, and I learned that so profoundly when I was principaling that. In that space of principling during the pandemic, that everyone sees things different, and we are the only people that see through our eyes. So now we have to be really intentional with our conversation so that we can develop a sense of common, so that we can have cohesive relationships because of the way that we're communicating.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's so good. And for me, do you think that common sense is like unspoken or unrealistic expectations that people put on other people?
I think they're unspoken expectations, and at times they can be unrealistic. And so to that point, like if we even think about, I like to take things down to like the bare minimum, like we think about our children, because everyone can relate to being a child, even if you don't have children.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to that,
I was a
right?
child one day.
One day.
It was a
There
cold
a
winter
time.
night.
Was it during Jesus' era or was it
I just know it was a cold winter day, cold winter night, and I was a child.
March? It was not a cold winter.
No, when I was a child, it was a cold.
So, but I say that to say, like, everyone can take it down to being a child. And so I think about, as adults, and I don't know if this is a cultural thing, and so I'm going to say it, and I think most adults can agree with this, but maybe it's cultural. But as adults, we sometimes say, when I was a child, I just knew. My mother gave me a look and I just knew.
I say that to my children.
Right. But then I had to start reflecting and say, did we just know, or do we just know so well now? You didn't just...
We didn't know then.
You did not know then.
We know now.
You just know so well now that it makes it feel like you just knew.
I knew it then. No.
But I'm sure the same tensions were going. And so with that, when we say common sense having realistic expectations, or is it an unrealistic expectation, sometimes we operate with the factor of, because I just knew. You didn't just know. You should just know too. We forget that we did not just know. We had to learn. And so we rob people of the opportunity of learning so that they can get to the point to say, I just knew. And so we assume, well, you should just know that because I just knew. No, you did not just knew. You just learned. And so now you know it now. And that's just, I think that is so important when we start to move. I had a staff member one time that was really upset with another student, the way that she was communicating with her. And she's like, I think she should just know better. And I said, well, why should she just know better?
She might not have been taught that.
And she said, because in my house. And I said, was she there? Now, a level of respect, we should have a level of respect, but also we learn it.
Yeah.
And so I said, do you know what her household looks like? So after giving her explanation, I'm like, this is how they communicate in their house.
Yeah.
Is it disrespectful? It probably is. Should we teach her? Yeah, we should. But we cannot expect her to just know because you just say that you just knew.
Yep.
You learned it too. So let's teach her. Let's teach people.
And it's so helpful when... So let me back up. I think when expectations aren't stated clearly, right, to establish the common ground, that when they are stated, when they're not stated, it brings a lot of anxiety, right? When they are stated, it calms my ADHD brain.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm being seen. I feel valued. heard, like, this person is a safe person for me. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to just be gracious towards me, and it's going to be extremely helpful in how I learn. And I think that's a part of, I think we talked about it on your last episode on your podcast, was meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
Like being willing to just explain things to people.
And to your point, because we want to make sure that we name that clearly, because sometimes common sense could kick in right now and was like, well, that's just everybody. It's not. There are some situations for a neurotypical that if you don't outline the expectation, a neurotypical brains can start pulling and processing things to say, okay, we should do this, or we should move this way, or this is what they meant, or this is what I see. When we think about a neurodivergent brain, and we talk about, we're going to bring up executive functioning, but this is a part of executive functioning challenge where a neurodivergent brain cannot system process. They cannot develop the next step based on vagueness. They need clarity. And so if you leave it up to, for a neurodivergent, up to trying to figure it out, like as far as saying, like, you don't give the steps and they're like, okay, so what do I do first? They're going to loop into, okay, maybe I'm supposed to do this first. And if I do this, then I got to do that. But then this step and this step. And so it's setting an even playing field. Neurotypical can say, okay, I've done this before, I can figure out this next step. Neurodivergent would say, okay, am I supposed to do this step or this step? And both steps could be very well a good step to go. But now it's like, but which one do I choose? And now you're stuck because I don't know which one to choose to get to the end. And then the end is there, but it seems this big, and it's like,
it's overwhelming.
It's like, if you just tell me the steps, now it's an even playing field, and I will do it with perfection. Just tell me where to start.
It's so for me, in that situation, it becomes overwhelming, and I definitely get overstimulated. Because I'm like, now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So I just have the paralysis where I can't do anything. And that
would be classified as ODD for a neurodivergent.
Oh,
because now it becomes opposition defiant. Because opposition defiant says you are not moving. You are being defiant as far as you're not moving forward with the next thing, but it's not a choice. And so they label it that, because when if you're told, I need you to do this, and you're just not doing it, it's like, okay, this is opposition defiant. You're opposing what needs to be done, and you're being defiant, and you're not doing it. And not recognizing that your nervous system has shut down.
Yeah.
Your cognitive abilities have shut down because you don't know what step to take. And it's not a process of, okay, I'm just going to take this one. It's like, I don't know what to do.
You're just frozen.
And so now you are literally frozen. It's almost like putting a barricade in front of your face, and you just cannot move. And that is the major thing that I am not comfortable with the ODD label, because it's not a choice. I'm not saying, they're not saying, I'm just not doing it because I don't want to. It's like, I don't have the capability to.
Yeah.
Because the tools have not been provided to me.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. So let's jump into, you already touched on the executive function. So let's talk about executive function. And for those of you that do not know the exact definition of executive function, or this is one of the definitions, executive function is a set of mental skills that enable goal-directed behavior involving the organization of thoughts and purposeful activities. And I know I said a lot. She's gonna break this down for us. So that's the formal definition. We're gonna make it make sense to everybody and how you apply this to your life.
So in a nutshell, it's your secretary of your brain, right? Like when you think executive, that's the thing that leads everything. Functioning is the movement of those things that are being led. And so it's really the secretary of your brain. If you've worked with the secretary, if you've been a secretary, if you've had a secretary, everyone knows that the secretary's function is to keep things organized, to maintain a schedule, to get information out, to process all of those things.
Yes.
And the challenges is those steps become missing. Like you can operate in the here and the now. What's the steps in between? I can't figure that out.
Yeah.
And it's not a lack. It's not a deficiency. It's not a incompetency. It's the brain does not fire that way. Once you provide the tools, that brain is going to be like, pew, pew, pew,
Yes,
pew, pew,
yes.
pew, pew, pew. All of the things are, oh, I keep hitting the mic,
It's
sorry.
okay.
All of the things are going to come out. But also, one thing I want to mention is because you will have some people that will say things like, well, how come, individuals with ADHD can function well in this task, but not this task? Like if you think about like they can play a video game and figure those things out. Another part of that is the brain functions on dopamine.
Yeah.
That's the pleasure senses of the brain. And so if there's areas where the brain is firing pleasure, then that brain is going to function very well. If it is not, because the dopamine levels are down.
That's what I was about to say. It's the dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going, it has a hard time functioning because it's not getting what it needs. And that's why it's important. And now this is now coming to me. I remember even being in the classroom and being a teacher, and I taught your kid. And so he could
sure did.
contest to this.
Wait, how old are you again?
We were the same age when I taught him.
You and Dwayne were the same age. Yeah. Y'all were like, he was in 7th grade, 8th grade. And
I was like a Doogie Howser.
Yes.
But it dawned on me that I always was moving. You could be in the front of my class, you can be in the back of my class because I taught from both. We always had engagement, and it was a God-given gift because of the children I was given. God gave me what I needed to be able to raise my children, which I also then translated and used it in my profession. And so there was not those times of being like, my dopamine is down. And of course, a kid wouldn't say that, not even an adult. It's like, I
don't
feel
even know if
disengaged.
we were able to put words to it.
No.
Like,
and so you think like, they're bored. Everything can't be fun. You're right. Everything can't be fun, but you can have glimpses of moments to be able to allow that dopamine lift so that they can do a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much when we think of simple tasks like who likes washing dishes, but Dari does.
I do not. Do not. Dishwasher, please.
But there's like certain things like I will wash clothes and dry them, but it might take me 72 to 800 days to put them clothes away because I don't like it. I mean, if I can do it quick, but it doesn't take simple things like if you played a song. I was coaching an individual who lives with ADHD, and we processed and worked through like, okay, the task that you have to do, maybe the daunting task that you don't want to do. So how can you combine that with the task that you like to do?
Yeah.
That usually what will happen is it will take your attention away from the task you need to do. And so then you don't do the task you need to do because you're getting stimulated by the task you want to do. How can you combine those things?
Yeah.
So as soon as you need to do the thing that you have to do, add it to the thing that you want to do.
That's crazy.
My daughter actually, and I had to tell her teacher this, she puts a video on her screen while they're working on the computer. And it may be music. And they're like, she's listening to music. I'm like, that's what's helping her do the task.
Yeah.
It may be one of those ASMR videos where she's able to hear the sound and see. And that's what helps her. And that goes back to your question about common sense. Everyone thinks it's common to be quiet for focus. Well, quiet for a neurodivergent person is actually very distracting.
Yeah.
It's like, I need something
Yeah.
to be able to let my brain start firing away.
I agree with that. Now, I will say that I think I'm just like a rare breed because I can sit in the house with it totally quiet, no noise. I could drive from here to West Virginia 5.5 hours, 6 hours without the radio.
Without the radio, right.
Nothing.
But there may be something else that's stimulating your mind.
Looking around at all the things.
Yeah.
And trying to get there safely.
Yeah.
That's what's doing it. I wanted to, we kind of got a hit a little bit. I wanted to go back. We had a scripture that goes with this conversation in a sense of like common sense, and it often means like unspoken expectations. And the scripture that I have for this is James chapter 1 verse 19, and I'm reading from ESV. It says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quiet to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." And I don't know about your children or the other people that you're around, like slowing down the communication prevents like the escalation, right? Like when I'm saying something or someone's saying something to me and I'm just like, hold on, I can't like comprehend it yet. Like just give me a second to process, and it helps. it helps me understand exactly what you're saying. So I love that that's a scripture that we reference here. And I don't think that it needs to, yes, it needs to be applied to ADHD brains, right? People dealing or living with or parenting or leading people with ADHD, but it needs to be applied to your everyday life in general.
This is a simple concept of what you do that helps the least will help the most. So when you think of the curb effect, where the ramps that they built for wheelchair access, they're everywhere. They help everybody. Bikes,
Yeah, I take those because sometimes my knees, I don't want to do
skates.
the steps.
I'm talking about even in your curb on your street where you
Yeah.
got that little dip.
Oh, yeah.
That was made specifically for
Easy
wheelchair
access. Yes.
It helps everybody. And so when we think about this,
Yeah.
that's slowing down to be, and we're not talking about talk slow. We're talking
Right.
about slow down so that you can give time for processing on both parts, because that processing is for the listener and that processing is also for the communicator. Okay,
Yes.
let's have a conversation. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue.
So here's the thing with, and I'm gonna put my husband out there for a minute, so bear with me.
It's the second time she did this, yeah. You ain't even here to defend him.
He is here. He's in
here.
another room.
He here, but-
So he's here, but he's not here. So a lot of times he will say things to me, and I'm not comprehending, or it just takes me a little longer to process. And I'm like, I don't get it. So he says it louder.
I can hear.
I can hear. It's still not helping me like
You
comprehend.
just made it loudly.
Yeah, so now I'm like,
uncomprehendable.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
I'm frustrated because now you're yelling.
Right. So then, when he gets loud, and I love that man, he's my best friend. But when he gets loud, that frustrates me. And then not only does it frustrate me, but it makes me feel like shame. It makes me feel less than.
Yeah.
So I think I had to explain this to him, and he's gotten better, y'all. He does better. But I had to explain that to him, like, hey, when I don't understand something and you speak loudly, like the second and the third time, now I'm ready to shut down.
Yeah. And because it's the common thought that if someone doesn't understand, that means they didn't hear you. Notice you
I
do
can
it.
hear.
You people do it for people who don't speak the language. I was at
That
the
is
DMV
true.
a couple months back,
Why
and
are
the
we
lady
like this?
didn't know, and the lady started talking loud and slow. So the lady is not deaf, and neither is she illiterate. She just doesn't speak your language, and that's the same concept. It's not that the person is illiterate, the person is incompetent, the person can't hear. It's taking time to understand. So
Yeah.
even when we think about neurodivergent ADHD, to the scope of this is something that I love to make sure educators and even parents know. Oftentimes, so people used to think ADHD was just the busyness of the body.
Well, I think that's how they,
Because it was only diagnosed for boys.
yes, young boys, and that's how it showed
And boys
up in them.
it was hyperactive. So when
Yeah.
you think attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, hyperactivity meant the body. It wasn't until later, and it wasn't even until the late 80s that girls started to be diagnosed. And then when girls diagnosed, they were diagnosed looking for the same characteristics as males. And if it was actually how girls display ADHD, that was simple-mindedness, in the fog, or it was depression, and things like that. And that's not the case, because and then also realizing that it's not a boy girl. Everyone
not.
displays different. So if we were classifying as a boy girl, my oldest, he's not my oldest son, he's my only son.
I was
My
about to say,
son
you
who's
got another son out
older,
here?
one of my older children, his ADHD, this is why I didn't even know he lived with ADHD, because
Yeah.
you're looking for the hyperactivity. He was not hyperactivity. You know him. He wasn't hyperactivity, but he was in the brain. His mind was
That's me.
all the way over there.
That's me.
And he's thinking, why can't I learn it now if I'm thinking I need to know it now? Like he would, every year for the school, he would suffer with canker sores because he'd be worried about, what if I don't know what they're teaching me? I'm like, you're not supposed to, because you're just, and I didn't know that. And so now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and so I say all that to say, get back to my point about for educators and parents, that hyperactivity, ADHD has hyperactivity of the mind, which means your mind is here and there because you're thinking about so much, which is also an area that could be very beneficial, because while y'all talking about this, they could be thinking about this and be setting up safety measures that we hadn't even processed yet. But to that same point, for instance, if you mention there's a video out, and I'll say two things. There's a video out where he's asking the young boy a question, like, if you were on the question was basically, if you were on a boat, would you want to eat a donut or an apple, something like that.
I want all of it.
Soon as he asked the boy if he on a boat, the boy started saying, I was on a boat. I can clearly see what was happening. He said boat. The boy remembered the time he was in the water. Mm-hmm. Then he said donut. The boy thought about a donut floaty in the pool. And he kept having to bring this boy back. I'm like, his brain has went so many places. And so not realizing that a one word could start to make you think of a bunch of stuff. So I was looking at something else, like a word problem. Simple as a word problem. In math, it may say, if Johnny had 4 apples, so I'll go to the Johnny, because Johnny gets all of the stuff.
Johnny gets everything.
Johnny I'm going to post apples.
There's one little video that I absolutely love, and I'm going to post that in the show notes. Go ahead.
Jaden has $1 bill, 1 quarter, and 2 pennies. How much money does he have? Jaden broke.
If Johnny had 4 apples and Johnny gave Susie 2 apples, how many apples did Johnny have? And moms will lose their mind. If Johnny has
louder,
but what's happening in if you're talking to an ADHD child, Johnny has 4 apples. They are now thinking, where'd Johnny get the 4 apples from? It's like, why would Johnny have 4? The only person need 1. I wonder if they was crispy apples. Were they red apples? Is the apples rotten? Did he take the apples to school? Was it Halloween?
Were they candy apples?
And now by the time you ask if he gave Susie 2, how many apples he have, he forgot about the math problem. He is at Halloween, trick-or-treating. Why would they give an apple?
At the carnival,
the
at the fair.
A worm in it. That one time I had an apple, my tooth came out. And so now they're looking at you and you're like, if Johnny had, it's not that he didn't hear you.
Yeah.
He heard you, but now he's went on a rabbit trail with and that's what we sometimes have to think, that when that instance, instead of speaking louder or getting frustrated, hey, where are you right now?
Yeah.
I was on Halloween trick-or-treat. Candy, how did you get there? I thought about the apples and I thought, okay, got it. All right, let's bring it back to this problem.
Uh-huh.
We're looking at math. We don't know how Johnny got the apples, but if he did have apples.
He has them. He got them from somewhere.
And so now you bring that person back and say, okay, now I see there's 4. So basically what you're asking me, 4 minus 2? Oh, yeah 2. But they'll quickly classify that kid as, oh, they don't know nothing. Oh, they know a lot. They know where they got them apples for Halloween. You know what I mean?
I love a good candy apple. I'm just saying. This is how my brain works. It just can be all over the place. Yeah. And it's hard to reel it back in.
Unless someone is able to be very intentional to have a conversation. Where were you right now?
Yeah.
Actually, I was in next week. Okay. I get it.
One thing I do know, I do have my girlfriend that is like, can y'all hear my stomach growling? I'm starving. I am grateful that I have people around me that understand how my brain works, that we can just circle around and come back. And then it's like, oh, well, this, and this. And no one is thinking like, is she really crazy? Like, did she really just talk about 25 different things and then come back to the first thing I said? Yes. Yes, I did.
The diversity of the conversation.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I think that all the women that are in my life right now, they know me, and it's like, okay, she's going to be all over the place, but she's going to come back. And
even in that all over the placeness, there's going to be a story. There's going to be some times it's going to pop up. We're going to have a good time talking.
Oh, it's a lot of
you're about to think about something that I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. Oh, the detail.
Happy you remember that in the detail.
The detail is like, it's mind-boggling the way I'm like, I have to know exactly what is going on. And I feel like I just digressed a little bit.
But I think that's good. Even to that point, though, to your point of having that support system in place, it is that understanding, one, and we should understand so that we can build relationships, and that takes that slowing down so that you can understand and be cohesive and more empathetic in your relationship building, whether that's a relationship from colleague to colleague, boss to staff member, parent to child, siblings, friend to friend, husband, wife, whatever the case may be. it takes that intentionality of, again, like if your brain goes all the way over here and we got something that we got to get to, hey, where were you right now?
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay. And not like, pay attention. I need you to focus, because now you feel like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. Like,
Yes.
I understand that your brain just probably went over there. Where were you? Okay. Oh, let's talk about that in a minute. Can we talk about this
This
for a
right now.
second?
Yeah. I understand how you got there, but let's bring it back.
And that part, I understand how you got there.
I understand. Yeah, if you're giving me like vague instructions, that's going to increase my anxiety and disengagement, and there's no way I'm going to be motivated. Not at all. And I want people to understand that, like you said, whether you're parenting, leading, whatever you're doing, just talking to people, you have to understand that.
I love that vague instructions yesterday, maybe this week. And that's so funny this came up. My daughter I got a report that she wasn't able to focus in class and she didn't get her work done. Okay, no problem. We all know that focusing is part of ADHD. Her teacher does know. And so when she came home, I said, I'll talk to her. And when she came home, I said, hey, you weren't able to get your work done today. What happened? And it wasn't you didn't get your work done, now you're punished, you need to get your work done.
Yes.
Because I know there was a challenge. I don't know exactly what the challenge was or where the distraction came from, but my goal with that was to understand what distracted her so that we can come up with a system that helps provide her with the support when that happens again. So after I said, what happened? She goes, I said, what did the teacher say to you? She said, my teacher said, and this goes to your vague instruction, and this is no fault, no shame of the teacher, because I supported her in what she can do next, because this is common things that people do.
Yeah.
She told her, well, can we try to focus better? That's a very vague instruction. Can we try to focus better? That's exactly what she's trying to do. She's not trying not to do her work. Here's what was the problem. Not the problem.
I would be like a deer in headlights.
Here's was the situation after I spoke with her. She was thinking about how we're going to have wintry inclement weather this weekend.
We are.
What is that going to do for her weekend? They had a movie day today in school. Are they going to cancel the movie day? I want to have the movie day. She was thinking about all the stuff that was going to happen at the movie day. She was thinking about spring break activities that don't happen until March. She was thinking about a friend who is having a baby at the end of March, and we just saw them. All of those things were playing in her mind. And I said, I get it. You were trying to focus on everything at once. The work did not become the priority because you're trying to figure out, how do I decipher these things? And so what I shared with the teacher was, okay, that instruction was very vague for her, because what does that mean to try to focus? I am trying. Now we need
really
a tool.
hard.
Really hard. Here's the tool. I said a verbal brain dump for her could be helpful. Letting her verbalize to you all of those things in some way, even if it just get her computer up and record it, that allows her to get that off her mind so she can put on her mind.
Yeah.
What she can do, put the thing, what's needed now.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. So now we're going to great transition into the WIN framework. And my previous employer, he had, I would do WIN meetings with him and then with our team. And so his definition of the WIN meetings were what I need, right? And that's about asking the team directly, what do you need from me? Right? So I had direct reports. What do you need from me? And I love that. I love that he came up with that, or whoever came up with it. And for me, that models like, what do you need to complete this? What would make it clearer? And it was so helpful. But another aspect of that is the WIN, where it means what's important now. And that's my stance as being the leader or the manager, is letting my team know what's important now, letting my children know what's important now, or letting my husband know, or my friends, what's important now. This is what's important now. And now you can say what I need from you to get this done.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful.
But that plays into the whole fact of common sense is not common.
Yeah.
If I give you a direction or an instruction and walk away and it doesn't get done, I'm assuming that like you should just know.
Yeah.
But having those meetings of, what do you need? How can I support you? What is important? It's two ways. this is what is needed now, like what you need to
This is
focus
what's
on,
important.
and then this is what you need. It's I need to tell you what's important. Tell me what you need, and that what you need could be
Yep.
what's stopping you from doing
Yep.
what's important. So now it's okay. I see what I said. I was the only person that saw it through my eyes. You don't see an orange ottoman.
I don't.
Got it. So now we need to mind you. I don't see an orange ottoman. It's brown. I mean, but y'all might see orange.
Wasn't that a thing like with
With
there
that
was like
dress.
a blue or gray dress or
Gold
something?
and my daughter was like, "Mom, you don't see gold something." I was like, "No, I don't."
I
but
just see a dress.
see the dress.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I love the win framework. I love both aspects of it.
Yeah.
Especially what's important now.
Yeah.
And in my brain, excuse me, if I say I'm at work or I'm working with the client and they're like, this is what I need you to do this. It's helpful for me to ask the clarifying question regarding like, is this important now? Is this priority over this? Because you just gave me this list of things to do. Now, are you telling me this is what you need done? This is number one. Like, I need that.
Prioritization.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I need that because if I'm in the middle of something and you come to me and tell me something else, you're calling me, texting me, emailing me like, Dari, I need this. Then I'm thinking, do I need to drop what I'm doing and do this? Or do I need to finish doing this?
Yeah.
So it's helpful to say, what's important now?
Yeah. I used to have clarity sessions, and this stemmed out of the pandemic, and I called it clarity, TEA. And so, in that, the TEA was tea time, so that it would set an atmosphere of comfort, an atmosphere of vulnerability, so that people could feel comfortable to ask the questions of things that they were uncertain of, and get clarity, because I would give newsletters, but I could not assume that because I put it in there and it made sense to me, doesn't mean it was totally clear to you. And so it set the atmosphere for people to be able to come into my office at the designated time, and we would have conversation. And what I realized in that as well, and I did a talk on this too, is it was titled like, why ? Are you questioning me ? And the reason for that was when people ask you why, they are not bucking against your authority. They're literally asking, let me borrow your lens for a second so I can see what you see.
Yeah.
And especially with children, when they ask why people get so upset, it's like, first of all, they've not been on this world as long. And
They
so
don't know.
they don't have, especially young children, they don't have other verbal etiquette or language or vocabulary to ask another question other than why. And so why is literally saying, let me borrow your eyes for a second so that I can see what you see, so that it can make sense to me. And so it's so important to have that type of conversation with them too. Like, I used to get so upset when my daughter would ask me what our agenda was. Like, are we doing this? And I would be like, oh my God, no, you're not going to micromanage my time.
Yeah.
But then I realized she's not trying to micromanage my time. She's trying to secure and create comfort and security for her, because she's thinking of all of spring break, all of the things. And she's trying to, okay, how does that fit in? She's trying to work her executive function the best way that she knew how.
Yeah.
And so I had to realize, asking this question, what is it that you really want to know?
Yeah.
And she would say, well, I got these things and I wanted to know, like, she'll say, like, I know I got to fold my clothes and put them away. And so I'm wondering what time we're leaving so that I know. And I will go, okay, now I understand.
That makes sense.
And now I can support you and help you in that. And then even to your point with like prioritizing the schedule or like what needs to be done.
Yeah, the task.
When we think about education, and this is to our educators, it was, and I did this as an educator, when you give a project and you're like, today, let's say today is January, whatever, today's January 1st, let's say, and the project is due March 1st, and you give nothing else.
I'm not doing it until February
April,
28th.
You're right. That's February 28th.
That's when I'm going to do it.
And
I'm going
then-
to lock in, and it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing, right? But then also the mental load that weighs in between that time of I got to get done. I got time. I got to get done. And now you're up all night and you're doing it. And what people don't understand with that as well, it will be amazing. Like ADHDers can knock something out in a matter of seconds. But then also your brain has stayed up. So now you have to function in the system that is not designed for you. So when you got to be to school at 8:00 and you've been up all night working on this project, you are depleted.
Oh, yeah.
And so now nothing works. And now I was like, why didn't you get sleep? Why didn't you start earlier? I would employ educators to say, if you're going to give a project that has a timeline that's out, you do need to give timestamps. You do need to set up a system for those individuals
Yeah.
who process like that, because their executive function does not allow them
Yeah.
to say, I need to do this, and then I do that, and this is the date, and this is that. They need that.
You need the check-ins. Otherwise, I'm going to wait till last.
And you need a system to say, you should be doing this week and that week. And some people think, well, that's micromanaging. I'm not going to micromanage an adult or micromanage a child. They should learn that by now. They should just know.
Not everybody.
So
operates like
you
that.
can't tell someone that has no legs, I'm not going to be holding their hand or pushing their or they should just be able to do it, because you can physically see their different ability.
Yeah.
So because you can't physically see a different ability of someone who's ADHD doesn't mean that you should employ them to just know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's so much that we have just talked through this episode. We might even break it down to 2 episodes. I don't even know. But yeah, from parenting to the workplace, like, talk to me about occupational therapy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That is like, it was like for me when I thought about it. So I went to school for physical therapy.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I started physical therapy when I was in my undergrad. But then I quickly realized when they wanted us to dissect a cadaver, I was like, yeah.
What is a cadaver?
A dead body?
I'm going.
I knew quickly that I was like, I can't even watch a movie. I don't watch horror movies, but I couldn't even watch Law and Order when they cut. I'd be like, oh God, no.
I can't look when they take my blood.
If my children come up to me and they got a cut, I feel it in all of my being. I'm like, okay, all right, get a Band-Aid. Here we are.
Exactly.
So I knew. I was like, if I'm not gonna be able to cut open no human body and look at all this stuff, I was not even good at dissecting a cat. Like, I was like, that's gonna be the leg.
I dissected a frog.
I did dissect. Now, I was a science teacher, so we did dissect it. We dissected squid. I was able to do all of that, but cutting people, because we had to physically know how it worked, I wasn't gonna be able to do that. And so I switched my major. I knew I wanted to know how it works to function in life. So I did psychology, and that's what my degree is in. But going to your point for physical therapy, so physical therapy is is a support system where professionals help you to physically move throughout life because of a physical different ability.
I love that
occupational therapy is to help you move about life. Occupational is not just work. It's the things you have to do in life to function. That's your executive functioning pieces of when you think about things like, when I'm cooking, what comes next? Cleaning. We need to work at how do we develop those skills so that you can have a system set in place to do that. When example, this is another executive functioning challenge. If I know that I have a late evening event on Wednesday, what are some things I need to do preemptively to prepare me not to be tired on Thursday?
Sleep.
Like, or like putting my clothes out.
Yes.
The night before.
Get prepared.
Knowing that the next day may not be the day that I'm going to do full face of makeup.
Yes.
Different things like that. Or like, what time do I need to leave? And when we're like those types of things. So occupational therapy helps to process those things, helps you with time management, because we know that time blindness is a thing with ADHD. And so it's like if you don't, time is time for someone with ADHD. If you say you have time, that means I have time. 1 second is the same thing as 5 minutes. It's time. If you say you don't have enough time, that's when you have to get intentional with your language. But occupational therapy would help with being able to identify tasks that you do all the time and say, when you're doing this task, let's talk about how much time that actually takes. Okay, that task actually takes about 10 minutes, which means that you need to start that at this time because you have to leave at this time. So now they realize it's no longer, I can't manage the time of I have to be able to do this in 10 minutes. It's, I need to start this at 7:50 because I know that
it's going to take
10 minutes. I don't know what 10 minutes is, but I know by 8 o'clock I need to be done. And so I set those things in place for her as well. But that's what occupational therapy helps you to do, the work life things, the executive functioning things in life.
I definitely need
And
that.
it is whenever you're diagnosed with ADHD, for someone that's diagnosed with ADHD, that is a support system that's available to you. And
That's
your
good.
insurance will pay for that because that's available.
That's good.
And I recommend that for anyone who lives with ADHD to have occupational therapy because it helps you to move about your life because of an invisible different ability.
Yeah, that's good. I wish that I had that growing up
Yeah.
because I didn't know. I didn't even know. I wasn't able to put words to me having ADHD. Like I said, I just thought I was different. I thought that, my brain didn't work like everyone else's. Like, what's wrong with me? And so I felt like I had to overcompensate in every area, every aspect of my life. So it didn't look like something was
Something
wrong.
was wrong, right?
Yeah. And which we established earlier is nothing's wrong.
Right.
It's just different.
You just didn't, you had to compensate to make sure you were looking like everybody else.
Yes.
So no one would notice
Yes.
that something's different.
And through all of that, how was my body, my nervous system tapped out?
So if we take
exhausted?
that to the aspect of something that's visible, that's again, imagine somebody that has a maybe a cleft foot or a foot that's shorter or longer, and they're trying their hardest to walk like everybody else so that no one notices. How difficult is that?
Yeah.
How difficult if somebody has a speech impediment and they're trying their hardest to say things like everybody else so you don't notice. What happens? They may not say anything at all. I have a friend who's like, I'm just not talking.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with someone that has an invisible different ability. It's like, I'm just not going to do because I don't want anybody to
know
see me as
or
different.
see. Yeah. Because you carry.
Because I'm not like everybody
Yes.
else.
And because you're not like everyone else and you feel like you don't fit in, then you carry shame.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the embarrassment.
And when people call it out, why
Yes.
didn't you do this? You should just know. And you're like, you start internalizing it. I should just know because they said I should just know. So something's wrong with me because I don't just know. It's
and
not
that's
common
why,
sense. To
That's
me.
why I thought something was wrong with me my entire life. I thought that. And yeah, that's good. I'm glad you explained the occupational therapy, and I definitely want to look into that. I think one of the main things about parenting someone that has ADHD is teaching the navigational skills, like not just expecting them to behave a certain way. Like you have to teach them
You have to teach.
because they're not just going to know. And when you think about the workplace, the same communication gaps like show up in the workplace,
Yeah.
right? We have to, like ADHD adults often like overcompensate and then we end up burned out.
Yeah.
So where the average person or neurotypical person is like, why are you so tired? Why are you so fatigued? Why are you so
All
burnt
you
out?
have to do is, all you have to do is like what?
Yeah. All you have to do is not a thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about those win meetings again. And I just love, that's one of the nuggets that we are dropping for y'all is think about win, WIN, what I need, what's important. And those are like short clarity check-ins, like
Yeah.
you said, clarity, right? Just those short check-ins to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
And creating a space that is of support. When you let people know that you see them, like you mentioned, being seen in support, and that being seen is sometimes it's removing the judgment. Like, hey, I just want to know where you are, or hey, let me know how you interpreted that, or like you said, what do you need from me so that I can support you to do the thing. I feel like these are just one things that when we think about, let me say it this way, when we think about the reasons behind, like my brother always laughs because I'm like, what's your goal? Like, because he'd be like, if you say that to me one more time.
I gotta know.
So I taught his wife, and she was like, if me and my wife are arguing and she say, what's your goal? I'm going to call you and punch you in your forehead. And I'm like,
That call, and then
I said, my thing is like thinking about your goal, because when you know your goal, you keep the main thing.
Yeah.
And your goal, if you're a boss, colleague, a husband or a wife, a parent, a sibling, a child, your goal I shouldn't say should be because that's common sense. It's not. If you think your goal, if you want your goal, let me say that, to be relationship, then you start to put systems in place that build that relationship.
Yeah.
If you want it to be a relationship, then we don't do things like communicate in a way that damages someone. Like
Yeah.
I have a talk that I talk about leveraging love. Like it was leading with love. And that's one of my pillars for my organization, leading with love. Do you want that person to, when you leave that space, how are they feeling? Are they feeling lacked, less than, tore down, or are they feeling like love, like you see me, like, and that you do that even in discipline, like Jesus flipped tables,
He did.
and that was, you have to set parameters, you have to set expectations, but you can still do it in love.
Yeah.
Like what, like going to your point, like what's important now?
Yeah.
That's direct.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what do you need so that you can get to what's important?
Yep. No, that's good. The scripture that I have to reference is Colossians 4:6 in ESV. And I generally always read from ESV. Sometimes I read from CSB. It just depends. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person.
This just came to me when you,
Tell me.
when we read it, when we were just thinking about the scripture and pre coming on,
Yeah.
season with salt, I feel like the Holy Spirit was like, I was like, that there's deeper meaning to that. First of all, when you say, let your speech, read that beginning part first again.
Let your speech always be gracious.
Always be gracious. That again is that empathy. That's that we're building relationships. So
Yeah,
if
that's
you
the
are,
leaning in.
whether
That's the
you're
love.
a Christian follower or not, if your goal is to build relationships, then that grace should be there. Which you should always put yourself in a position of, there's a possibility of another narrative other than the one I'm telling myself. And so that graciousness narrative. And so when we say with salt, that's your flavor. That's your directness. That's your implicit instructions. It's not vague. It's not blame. It's not like, we're going to serve you this chicken. We're not going to put nothing on it. We're not going to put nothing on it.
put a little
We're going
hot
to
sauce.
give it some flavor. And
Yeah.
that flavor is your direction. Like when we talked about, like, you need to give some instructions. You can't be like, oh, do whatever. And then when they come back, this is wrong. You ain't put no flavor on it. You didn't put no salt in it. That salt is that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's basically saying, like, what Jesus do? What did Jesus do? Like, if you're a Christian follower, then that's how we should operate. Like, we had those bracelets that reminded us, and I think we should probably go back to them because
I
we
need
forget,
one.
like, what would Jesus, that was a reminder, like,
Yeah.
you look at it. But then we should think, like, wait, what did Jesus do? Okay, well, that's probably how I need to be operating. And if not, if you're not a Christian follower, then again, what's your goal? And if your goal is to, I want to tear people down, then you act then accordingly.
But also, don't come around me.
That part.
Please and thank you.
Because I'm going to ask you, what's your goal? And I can then respectfully decline. I have been known in the middle of a conversation, what's our goal? Oh, you want to argue. You want to argue.
I feel like that was a real
It was. You want to argue. I know. That's not my goal. So I'm going to respectfully decline and walk away from this conversation.
I'm going to have to excuse myself.
I'm gonna respectfully excuse myself in the middle of your words.
Yeah.
Because I'm flipping this table and I'm walking out.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
Excuse me. Let me get up.
let me get up. Let me get up. So here's some of the application from our episode today. Communication is not one size fits all.
It's not.
Grace includes clarity. Leaders and parents, people are responsible for how your communication lands. You're responsible for how your communication lands on the next person.
And when we say leaders, I want to be clear, like parents, you are leaders. I know.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like mind blowing and it sounds like common sense, but it's not always. A conversation with a parent that was like, I don't see myself as a leader. And your daughter's sitting on your lap. And I was like, oh, that's not common knowledge. You are leading. But even if you don't have children, guess what? The first person you lead is yourself. So you are still a leader. And so in communications, if you're responsible for anybody, including yourself, you are responsible for how the communication lands.
Yeah.
And notice we didn't say you're responsible for how the other person responds. Your
You're not
your
responsible for that.
responsibility in how it lands, meaning that you should take, and the Bible says this too, you should take, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't know exactly what scripture it comes from, and it might have been James that we read. I think it was before we were preparing. It was like before some scriptures before the one we read.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
you're responsible, when we say how it lands, you're responsible about the care and the intentionality you put into having that conversation. So your goal in that should be the love. Like, how am I leaving people?
Yeah.
What is the preparation that I am going to do to make sure I lead people? It doesn't mean that you're always going to provide the most clearest, because that's when you have your wins. Like,
Yeah.
what wasn't that you didn't understand? How did that not land?
Yeah.
Because I do understand I'm the only person that saw through my eyes. So help me to help you use my glasses for a moment.
That makes me think about like your intention versus your impact. That like if I'm saying something, like my intention was this, but I often also have to be aware of what my impact was, and maybe they didn't line up.
Maybe they didn't line up.
Yeah.
And you're just being really mindful. Again, there's always another narrative than the one you're telling yourself. I told my daughter yesterday, she had scissors in her purse. And I said, you're not going to be able to have these scissors in your purse. You need to put them in your book bag. And she said, well, it's easier for me to get to them when they're in her purse.
Yeah.
Now I have to let her borrow my lens because I used to be a principal.
Yeah.
I used to run a school.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand. We're going to need to put them in a place that's more accessible in your book bag, because in your purse, it's a weapon. And she's like, well, I'm not using it as a weapon. Your intentions may not be.
Yes.
However, it will be implied. And so because of that, you need to be really intentional about where you're carrying that. And so with that being said, you need to be really intentional about how you're carrying people.
Yeah.
And that comes with your conversation.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that.
Very intentional.
A little bit of encouragement for y'all before we wrap up. Try replacing "they should know" with "have I been clear?" Right? So let's not.
To you.
Yes. Yeah.
Have I been clear to you? 'Cause
Yes.
you could be clear yourself all day. It's like, I was clear.
Yeah.
Were you
because it's, I don't want to, I need to get that out of my brain that they should know.
Yeah.
I should automatically lean in and have I been clear?
Have I been clear? What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need? Because behavior is data. If people are responding to a way that seems like you haven't been clear, you haven't been. You haven't. No matter how much clarity you think you put into it, then you have. Like I said, when I was a teacher, I was swinging off chandeliers, doing all type of stuff, and the information they were giving back to me when it came to learning was like, how y'all don't get this? Like, I did all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wait a minute, what's missing?
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation so I can see what's missing. And that was so
Changes.
impactful. Like,
Yep.
oh, I thought I was clear because I was doing all of this stuff. And I was clear to me. It made sense to me. But it didn't make sense to the people who needed to receive it.
Yeah. That's good.
And their behavior was data.
So listen, with everything that we said today,
Everything.
I do everything. I want to challenge y'all.
Quiz time. No, I'm joking.
Yes. Pop quiz. After listening to this podcast, listening to this episode, try one win question this week.
One. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one.
And even if your win question is, what do you need? Where haven't I been clear? Just one. It's going to take stepping out of your comfort zone, especially if you've been raised as a child that you don't get kids ask questions, or if you've been raised as a leader of the leader should know it all. You got to put your ego aside.
Yeah.
That's major.
You're gonna have
That's
to.
the first thing. Prepare yourself to put your ego aside and lean in, because what's your goal?
Yep. That's good. All right, y'all. If this episode resonated with you, I hope it gave you language for something you felt but maybe couldn't explain. Make sure, I know you're watching this on YouTube, right? You see us looking all good on YouTube. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I am so grateful for y'all. A little reminder that ADHD brains don't need more pressure. they need clear communication and better systems. Bye, y'all. And that's it. Ooh, ooh.
I hope you put that dance on there. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, this is going to be the bloopers.
You need the bloopers. My eyelash kept getting stuck to my eye.
Hey.